Hello, everyone. Welcome to the poster session. We have some presenters here with us today to talk about their poster sessions they already shared in our website. So we are really excited to listen to them. This will be a great opportunity to have a quick summary of their work. And at the same time, it will be a great opportunity to forward our questions if we have any at the end of their brief presentations. So welcome again, and I would like to pass the microphone to Sarah Straub, our first presenter. And Sarah, feel free to share your screen.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having us. I love the Peralta Equity Online Equity Conference. I think it's my third time being able to attend. So thank you. I appreciate this space. I'm happy to kick us off more of like the theoretical and conceptual concepts before we move into some specific strategies. Uh, but basically, Rachel and I, you can see Rachel on the screen, we did a digital learning equity review a couple of years ago before this AI post-pandemic generation or era has begun. And we looked to revisit it through the concept of AI integration with the theme of the Peralta conference this year. So um, when I did this poster presentation, we have these little post-it notes just as something for you all to think about as we're going through it. But basically, we know that AI is rapidly entering higher education and that online learning already has an equity gap. And we were asking if AI was going to deepen the inequities or expand the inequities or really help with equity practices in general. So we were thinking about our students as we really try and always do, our non-traditional learners. We're in a rural context, and so we have rural students, access gaps, and we have a lot of non-traditional students that are working adults, that are caregivers, and a large first generation population. There are a lot of constraints these students face that I'm sure a lot of us see in our own institutions, but typically with time, with the cognitive load of understanding the learning management systems and limited support, especially around their schedules. So we did our equity review, and if you wanted to, you can access the presentation later, but we have a lot of our evaluation tools that we wanted you to have access to. So we were reviewing we have the social justice syllabus tool, the UDL rubric, the Peralta equity rubric, and then some inclusive assessment checklists that we created. And again, you can take a look at those. But again, that's the whole process of um, of supporting our students and analyzing it. So where does AI fit in? And we're going to continue this a little bit. AI helps with an audit for our syllabus, and and it helps with things like synthesizing your feedback for students to big takeaways you can have in videos. It can help scaffold feedback. I gave an example the other day where a student just like I had explained it once, I explained it a totally different way, and the student still wasn't getting it. And I knew this kid loved Pokemon Go. And so I was like, ChatGPT, this is what I'm trying to teach. Can you put it all in the concept of Pokemon Go? And then I sent it to him and I was like, please read this, let me know if that helped. And he's like, I get it. And I'm like, so it's just one of those little examples of where things can work. But truly this semester, my biggest takeaway was I put my feedback in and it finding ways to synthesize that into themes for my students that I could then have a video about. So students received individual feedback, but then the whole class feedback has been a really great experience for me this semester. Um, Again, there are risks, and you guys can check out the research, but obviously a lot of bias, especially into something where we're feeding it the information. But it is a tool, not a solution. And that is pretty much it. And again, I'm so excited about what's coming next. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And I'm so happy you shared that because you mentioned like you tried different methods for your students that they somehow couldn't understand, and then you ask help from AI, and then that's it, right? So it's like in a different context. I remember doing this a similar thing for ESOL context because sometimes the language is so complicated for them to understand, and hey. AI, can you please help me with this? And then bomb. So that was like, but I also appreciate you acknowledging the bias part as well, right? So we have to be cautious as we're using AI, definitely. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. And Stacy, do you want to go next, or yeah?
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Sarah. You're amazing and you're doing some great work. I'm not that far ahead with the evaluation and writing about it yet. I'm still in the process of trying to figure out where I want to go with this, but I've done a lot of presentations at different conferences this past year. About this time last year, I was asked by different faculty members in my higher education space at Our Lady Lake University, what can we do to stop the cheating, or what can we do to police the students? And I got tired of not being able to give them an answer, not being able to tell them, hey, we don't have a budget right now. We were going through layoffs. We went through about six departments being folded. So I had to think of something on my game. And so I created in Manus after going to Caltech's AI tools for everywhere, free training, by the way. It's currently free certification through Caltech, how to use Manus. And Manus is above ChatGPT. It's agentic. It does take a while to learn how to use it, but I was able to build out a full platform tool for free. And let me see if I can share my screen. So this is the actual studio right here. And this is because I was frustrated, and every conversation about AI in education kept on saying, "Hey, I'm panicking." Some people were very worried about what their students were going through, and they really wanted to know how they could help out. And so I made this free open toolkit that anybody can use today. It has different tabs at the top that kind of go over what they're about to click on. So the overview is the current landscape of assignment design. And it talks about all the different concerns for equity and access and faculty development. I am a master quality matters reviewer and I've done AQ training. So this kind of aligns with what I've learned in those different capacities as well. It also goes over in the news, like the foundational articles with Manus. It's hard to go ahead and go in here and change things once it's built. So this part I cannot change. But the things that I can change, I do change and update as soon as I find out something has come out better. I also provide the evolving tool landscape in education. And then this whole toolkit, it relies on the critical thinkings of cognitive presence, social presence, and teaching presence, also known as the community of inquiry, which is COLE. And then it talks about how these all provide the ability to build AI resistance by either peer review, role-playing assignments, brainstorming, multi-stage assignments, AI critique tasks, personal connection, targeted human feedback, facilitate transparent design. So all these different frameworks right here show you that it's going to be a practical tool that leans into strategies right after the framework. So once we go from the framework, we go into the strategies. It's almost like a mini course. And so right here, when you get into the strategies, you're able to click on these different tabs. And I built this all through prompting. It was just like maybe like 24 hours of just prompting. And so this part right here tells you, hey, I want the student to understand collaborative inquiry. I want them to be able to have interdependent collaboration and shared knowledge. What can I do with that? So once you understand the framework and then you understand the strategies for these specific strategies, then you go to the next tab, which is best practices. And this best practices really leans into UDL, Universal Design for Learning, what's best for students and in regards to AI proficiency and AI resistance, transparency, and co-design. The things that we need to do to be able to foster metacognition, that's all right there. And then finally, it links into the toolkit, which is what we actually use to redesign assignments. And this is something that is also been I've just seen this in different capacities, like Magic School AI has some stuff like this, and the other apps have it, but they charge. And for this one, it's completely free. You just got to go to this link right here, and I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat. So once you go into that, I think I shared to just Sarah. Let me just go back here. Once you go into that link, it's going to tell you what's your assignment that you're going to be doing that you want to try to change up. So maybe it's a standard research paper of 5 to 10 pages. And then based on the framework and strategies that you learned earlier, we want to be able to pick a cognitive goal. So maybe we want them to remember something. And then from there, which of the framework strategies we want to take into place here, collaborative inquiry, authentic engagement, or metacognition, maybe we want them to be able to learn. And then we hit generate. And then immediately you get a kind of a redesign plan for free, just like, hey, this is how you build an AI resistant assignment based on what you did before. So instead of a paper, you'd be leaning into an AI process and reflection portfolio. And then, of course, you can take this to AI and go into a full lesson plan or whatever you want to do with extra instructions, but this kind of carves it out for you for those that may not know where to start. And then the next section just goes into some case studies of what people are doing at other universities to build AI resistance. And then the second to last tab is the community brainstorm activities. So these are kind of shorter focus activities that you can actually go into, like an AI proof redesign. It gives you a quick task and discussion to see how you can do that in your class, how to build an AI policy that is permissive, limited, or prohibited. And then also goes into the Cole self-assessment. So how are you doing it? How are you doing it stronger in your teachings? Where do you need more development? You can also actually click on that around. Equity and access brainstorm and process versus product reflection. And then the last tab is just kind of resources, what I pulled for the tool and landscape. So from all this, I've actually been cited by other schools that are currently using it, like Washington University, St. Louis. They currently have it on their additional resources for building AI resistance. I also have a couple other universities like South Dakota State University. They also have it under their, I can't remember which area. I think it's under e-learning resources. It's like right here somewhere. So it's right here under their e-learning resources. And then there's about 10 universities in total. Ronan University. And like I said, I don't charge anybody to use these tools. I think the highest Ivy League, I think I saw Clemson was using it. They're using it for their admissions. They're not even using it for faculty development. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing a lot of people because there's also like that paywall for faculty development you really can't get behind. I've also been seeing in Lunch and Learns that people use it in their groups and their orientations and convocations. And so it's a free tool. And so if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Stacy, I would want to make sure that this is credit goes where credit is due, and I can obviously see me using this in my own classroom, but how do I make sure that you know that I'm using it so you know how like widespread your reach is getting?
Yes, ma'am. People tag me on LinkedIn,
Okay.
or they can email me too and say, hey, I'm using this tool and this is how I'm using it. Because then I get that information. And when I present at conferences, I obviously tell, hey, Dr. Straub is currently using this and this is how they're using it. So if you want to use it that way too. And I also put it in my poster sessions and presentations. So thank you.
Do you mind if I share your contact information with our CTL?
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And thank you, Stacy, for sharing this tool. This is amazing. And I'm just I have a quick question. As I'm waiting for others to share their questions in the chat or say it out loud. So you are implementing this wonderful tool in your institution,
Mhm.
right? And can you tell us more about the implementation process or any pushback you get or any feedback you get from your community?
So some of the questions that I've had is like, how is this different from like banning AI? And the studio really doesn't ban AI, it redesigns it, right? So there's that. And then the goal is that the assignments that are there where AI use doesn't undermine learning because the learning is actually in the process and not the product. I've seen people say, well, you need to go a different route. This is not going to be able to be feasible in a couple of years, but it's as good as pedagogy, and that's the point. AI didn't break good teaching. It exposed where we've been cutting corners and also specifically on assignment design. And I keep it updated often as much as I can, especially the tool landscape part and the AI ecosystem. And I feel that because it's a free tool, people are able to either adopt it, adapt it, or cite it.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Um, and do you think we can reach out to you if you have any questions like about perfect? That's amazing. And
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at the chat. If you have any questions for Sarah or Stacy, Fazila mentioned, thank you for sharing this tool. Yeah, that's amazing. And again, if you just joined us, I'm going to share the link for the tool again in the chat so you can explore on your in your free time. There we go. And lastly, we have Peggy Care. Peggy, thank you for joining us today. Do you want to go ahead and talk about your work?
Absolutely. And I apologize for not having any visuals. I'm just going to talk.
Really fun.
But the title of my poster was Increasing Equity and Access in Online Discussions Through Universal Design for Learning. So I am an assistant professor in a teaching and learning and higher education program at a small Catholic university in suburban Philadelphia called Gwynedd Mercy University. And in my presentation, I really focus on how universal design for learning can increase equity, access, and meaningful participation in online discussions. So the reason I wanted to go last is I think you saw wonderful frameworks and broader applications for many different activities. So this is going to hone in on online discussions. The program that I teach in is completely asynchronous. So our discussions are taking place, in that online environment whenever people engage. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Universal Design for Learning was developed by CAST and is grounded in the idea that learning environments should be intentionally designed to remove barriers and support learner agency of all students, not just those with disabilities. The framework is built around three core principles: engagement, which relates to the why of learning. And if you can think about it like what motivates students. The second area is representation, which is the what of learning. This is how we teach. It is what the teacher does and the materials and instructional activities that students do to learn. And then finally, action and expression, the how of learning. This is how we assess learning, how we have students demonstrate that they actually obtain the learning that we intend them to. In the context of online discussions, my presentation really highlights how intentional choice aligned with these principles can lead to more inclusive, collaborative, and engaging learning experiences. And I have lived it, and this is why I love presenting about it, because I've just seen the joy that can come in discussions that are designed this way. So the first thing I focus on is choices in the discussion post content. Instead of giving my students a single rigid prompt, I give them options such as sharing from their personal experience, researching a topic of interest, introducing a relevant resource, or posing a question to their peers. I often end my discussion prompt with asking students to pose a question, because this can really help deal with that issue of bad responses because they're just lame. I agree, right? But if you ask a student to pose a question, then it really pulls their peers in. So the choices increase their motivation. It helps students draw on their diverse backgrounds and interests, and it really creates a richer peer-to-peer learning opportunity. The second area that I focus on is choices in discussion replies. So just like they could post from a variety of perspectives, they can reply from a variety of perspectives. So from their experience, they can bring in different resources and they can answer those peer questions or ask a follow-up question. So I really find this enriches the discussions and students are willing to engage more with each other, and it makes it rating them so much better as well. So we have better engagement, better collaboration, and better critical thinking. The last area that I focus on is choices in discussion format. So this supports the action and expression area of UDL. So in addition to traditional written posts, I give my students the option to do a visual response like a video, or an oral response like a podcast recording, or they could use some type of tool to create visual imagery. Padlets, PowerPoint presentations are commonly used. And I find that when students use these choices, they are more enthusiastic about what they're sharing and they are more engaged in the discussion. Sometimes people worry about how do you grade these types of responses when they're so different. And my response to that is I really focus on the content rather than how it's presented. So I'm looking for that substance rather than really grading them on the other aspects of what they're including. And then the last thing that I've started to do that has been very successful is offering an option for synchronous discussion. As I mentioned, my classes are asynchronous. I have students from all over the country, all around the world. But what I do is a survey to try to get a sense of when people might have a common time that they could meet if they're interested. And I create a synchronous discussion. Whoever can participate in that discussion can join me live, and they can make their presentation, they can do their replies with their peers. And I find that this is such a stimulating and enriching opportunity for students to learn from each other and for me to engage more freely with them instead of just that written response in the discussion. For any student that can't attend the synchronous session, we record it and I post that recording in the discussion just like it would be a post. So the peers can review it at their own time and respond to it. And I found that this works really well. Another bonus is when my students participate live, I'm able to immediately grade that participation because they did their presentation, initial post, plus their peer responses. So that part of my grading is done, which is really nice as well. So I hope that this gave you a brief understanding of how you can use small intentional design choices related to UDL to really transform your online discussions. I included a worksheet as an attachment. Unfortunately, the QR code in my presentation is not accessible, so we put an attachment there that enables you to, as you're listening to the video, kind of jot down some ideas about ways that you can increase options for your students. This has taken me probably 3 years to get to the point where I am now, but each time that I add a choice and add an option and then build on that the next time I teach, I've found that that works really well. So thank you very much, and I look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Peggy, thank you so much. As someone who's teaching fully online class, it was really insightful to listen to you and your experiences. And I'm looking in the chat to see if we have any questions from the audience.
I have a quick
Yeah,
question.
yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. So Peggy, I don't know if you've read this, but what you're talking about, it sounds like you're like perfectly in sync with Flower Darby, the small teaching online. Have you read that?
I have not read it, but I am familiar with the concept. And yeah, I love Flower Darby. She's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, you're such a joyful online educator. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I'm going to make a small intentional change to my discussion boards because of this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that comment, Sarah. And Dr. Hill mentioned, can you place the worksheet in the chat, please? So would it be possible? Oh, Peggy, you're muted.
My apologies. I'll have to search for that and I'll
Sure.
pop it in when I'm able to find it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. And Peggy, as I'm waiting for our audience to ask questions, I have a question for you because if you're teaching an asynchronous class and you are having a synchronous portion of it, how do you include that in your syllabus before the class starts? Because like some students may be joining from a different time zone or maybe may not be able to join. How do you balance that?
Yeah, it's completely optional. So I do a survey before the class starts to get a sense of whether students would be interested in doing that and at what time they would be interested in doing it. So I very much reassure them that this is optional. If you can join, great. If you can't, not a problem because you can still fully engage by watching the video of the content you missed. So I think it's really the best of both worlds. And I've had students who have never had a chance to do synchronous and an asynchronous course, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, everybody should do this, because if you can participate, it's such a rich experience.
That's true. Thank you very much. Oh, Adoria just made a comment in the chat. By the way, Flower Darby will be speaking at the online teaching conference in Anaheim, June 23rd and 25th. Thank you for that information, Adoria. Yeah, that's good. And we have a question from Chelsea. She's asking, I'm curious how many students participate in the live discussions? And I love that you provide that option. Oh, Peggy, you're muted.
My apologies. I was trying to find the link and that was off screen. So, my as a doctoral program, my classes are very small. They run from, I would say, 12 to 18 students, and typically online we have 4 to 6. I will do it with just one person just to have that experience if they want to do it. I always give the option if it's just me and one other person that shows up, I'll say, what's your preference? Do you want to continue the conversation and we can share it in the discussion as a video, or would you rather just post? Interestingly, some students, they're so conscientious, they will post in the discussion written before they even participate in the live online discussion. So in those cases, if a student has already posted, sometimes they'll say, no, I won't participate. But I have the luxury of small classes, which I know is not something that everybody has the opportunity. One other thing I could mention is that I do send the synchronous sessions out as an appointment so I can get the RSVPs and kind of have a sense of how many people will show up as well.
Mhm. Thank you, Peggy. And Stacy, I see you have a question. Do you want to say it out loud?
Yeah, I just had was curious. How do you teach students to understand how they learn best so they can choose like the tools that you were saying, like Padlet? How do you know if they're choosing them for themselves as well? I
My
think
apologies. I went off screen again trying to find that document. So, that's a really interesting question. I think because my students are adult learners, they're working on their doctorate, they really have a good sense of what they're comfortable with. But I would think with freshmen, it might be a little bit more challenging. So, what I find people tend to do is pick what they enjoy the most. And I think that's part of what brings the joy to, the discussion is that people are choosing things that they enjoy. And sometimes their peers will say, wow, I never thought about doing a PowerPoint, but seeing yours really inspires me to consider doing it. So I think adult learners versus freshmen, you might have a little bit different perspective on how choices are made. And maybe there needs to be a little bit of development or discussion around that. But with my adult learners, it's, they know where their preferences lie.
thank you very
Perfect. Wonderful questions. And Peggy, I know you got a lot of questions and you're still looking for the document, but I have one more if it's okay.
Okay, yeah, I kept my microphone on.
And it's definitely about the use of AI, or we can say maybe your course policies since you're teaching fully online. But what kinds of AI use feel acceptable in this course? Like, do you share it with your students? Like, what feels like crossing a line and what feels like acceptable? Do you have a policy in place for your fully online class?
That is a great question because we just drafted a policy and shared it with students, letting them know that this is going to be official for the next academic year. So obvious, and I think one of the things that really helps with this approach to discussions is that because they're bringing themselves in, it's really hard to use AI as a substitute, for their own interests and experiences. So I think in some ways, taking this approach in discussions helps avoid the use of AI. But I mean, for example, bringing in a resource, like if they used AI to identify a resource and it was a ghost, it didn't exist, that would definitely be an academic integrity violation. So we ask our students to describe how they used AI in completing an assignment so that we have a sense of what the use was. And in most cases, my students are using it for clarity and organization rather than generating content.
Mhm. Mhm. That's really important to share at the very beginning, right?
Yes.
And that's also a little bit trust issue. You're trusting your students that when they say they're using it this way, which is great. And also you're not banning AI completely from your classes. You can still use it, but
Right.
for specific,
Yeah. And I've
right?
actually started designing some assignments for them to use it in effective ways, but it's always, get ideas from AI and then use your critical thinking and figure out, are they appropriate, are they not appropriate, and how do you integrate them into your own work?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. We don't have any other questions in the chat. And I'm looking at the audience. Let me check the time. So we have 10 more minutes to end the session. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or share your question in the chat. And maybe we can take a couple minutes. Or our presenters, if you have any questions for the audience, feel free to share them.
I don't want to put Stacy on the spot, but I was wondering if she could open up her tool and just like walk us through a random example of like modifying an assignment because I just did that and it was super cool. So I think like using your tool, I would love to have you do that if you don't mind. But you are muted.
Yes, ma'am. So if we go to our toolkit and we can select a current assignment. So if anybody wants to pick an assignment, randomly unmute yourself and just tell me what you'd like me to pick.
Weekly reading response journal.
Okay, we're gonna do weekly response journal, and then from there, what kind of Bloom's taxonomy goal do we want them to higher order thinking skill do we want them to cover here for this specific task? We want them to remember something in the journal, understand the journal, apply something from the journal, analyze, evaluate, or create.
Analyze.
Let's do analyze, and that will be able to allow them to connect ideas from the journal. Then we're gonna go ahead and choose one core redesign strategy from the three. There's no way to select more than one at this time, so you would select either collaborative inquiry, authentic engagement, or metacognition.
What would you say is like the best question to ask yourself here?
For the journal, I would probably say if you're doing it by yourself as an independent assignment, it would probably be collaborative inquiry, maybe. Or metacognition.
Okay. And so like would you say that like a good best practice in this moment would be like it's a collaborative inquiry if the assignment is something that they're doing together, it's authentic engagement if they're like if they're trying to apply something, and it's metacognition if they're meant to like
Mhm.
teach themselves.
Teach themselves, yeah. So I would probably put one of these two right here, but because it's not a collaborative assignment that they're doing with other people, it would probably just be one of these two. So we could probably put authentic engagement.
Okay.
And then let's go ahead and click on generate redesign. So for this response journal, we can take it to an oral history interview with a community member, and that will allow them to be able to analyze what they have learned, and that would provide them the authentic engagement strategy, which supports this goal by requiring the students to apply knowledge in novel real-world contexts and create a unique product. How it's AI resistant? This design is AI resistant by grounding the assignment in a unique non-digital context that AI has no access to, and it requires students to engage with specific people, places, or primary resources. And then,
That's so cool.
it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
I think Magic School AI has something close to it.
Yeah, and while you're talking, the one that I did in your thing was basically it gave good things like have an example of what AI generated for their paragraph, then have an example of what you changed it to, and then write like a quick reflection on how AI helped you with this.
Yes.
And I it was just great.
Yeah, this is the Magic School AI version. Just wanted to show you, Sarah, because like this one's a little bit different. So mine goes into full blast everything, and this one just tells you, okay, grade level, assignment description, and that's all you get. But with mine, you can go a little bit more further into detail, and I feel that it helps out faculty a lot more, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Stacy, this is really cool. I look forward to exploring this tool more on my own time. But I'm just thinking, how did you come up with this? Or do you have a team, or are you on your own?
No, I just did it by myself. So basically, I went to this class called AI Tools for Everyone. It says $0 because it's really free. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the chat. It's every Tuesday for 2 hours, and they go over Gemini, Chat GPT, and then it gets closed real fast. It gets full real fast. It's 2 hours, 8 hours for 4 weeks, and they go over specific tools. I'm trying to find out here if they have them listed. So they went over Manus and I was like mind blown. I'm like, what is Manus? So basically, let me go ahead and see if I can find Manus on here. If you go to Manus, it's just like ChatGPT. It has a search box and it's an agent. It's through Facebook. Now, Facebook bought them out after I learned how to use it. And so right here, I can say, build an AI website. And then it's going to ask me like, what do I want to put in it? And then eventually it just gives me a link. I click on the link and it's actually a full-blown website. So it's pretty cool. It's just a lot of prompting. And you have to kind of know what you're doing because if not, it won't do it for you. So you got to keep on prompting it.
Wow. Can you put the link in the chat, the one that you shared at the very beginning?
Which one?
Maybe one step back.
Let's see. What did I have?
You were showing us it's like zero cost and
Oh yeah, this one right here.
yeah, that one.
This is a class right here. I'm
Yes.
gonna put it in the chat. So they won't tell you how to do everything, but they'll show you how Manus works. And then from there, I just learned myself. I just took it to the next level. I thought, you know what? Let me just keep on trying to use it. But now they're doing perplexity, and it's a lot of listening. You don't really do hands-on. You like watch it, and then after the video's done, you go and do your own thing. They give you a class and everything, but for me, it's practical and it's real world and it's something that I needed to learn. And she does a great job.
This is amazing. Yes, so it will be a great start for us to maybe start taking this course and then exploring the other tools. But thank you so much, Stacy,
Thank you.
Sarah, and Peggy for sharing your tools, experiences, knowledge. So thank you very much. This was an amazing session, and we really appreciate your insights on so many different practical ideas. Thank you so much. So we still have 4 more minutes to finish the session. If you have any questions, you can definitely share in the chat. If not, we are going to end this poster session, and our next presentation will start at the top of the hour, and Kristen Everhard will be talking about reimagining assessment, equitable grading, and labor-based grade contracts. So hopefully you will have a chance to take a little break and come back at the top of the hour. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Peggy. Bye-bye. Bye, Sarah. Bye, Stacy. Bye, everyone.